Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of Beyond the South Stand with me, Jez Davies.
And me, Morgan Hewitt.
Fantastic. And we are absolutely delighted to be joined by Rhys, the Cardiff fan. Hi Rhys, how are you?
Hi, I'm not bad. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely fine. If you can just explain or maybe just give a synopsis of yourself, introduce yourself to the Norwich audience, and just a little bit about yourself.
So Cardiff City fan, Canton boy in the stadium. I work with Si on Cardiff City World. I host the 1927 club every Saturday night, post Cardiff City games. We do stuff all the time, to be fair.
Brilliant. What's the relevance of 1927? Is that when the club was formed?
We won the FA Cup in 1927.
Yeah. That'll be why it's called that then. Superb. And how many times have Cardiff won? I'm testing your knowledge now. How many times have Cardiff won the FA Cup?
Only once, but we've been to 3 finals. We lost to Sheffield United 1-0 in 1925, and we lost to Portsmouth then 1-0 in 2008.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. I do remember that game actually. I think Portsmouth was it? Yeah, as you say, it was only 1-0, wasn't it? I think David James was playing in goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, Glenn Louvin scored a worldie volley out of the area, and the ref, I think, gave a handball. I think he did.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, it's never nice to sort of talk to fans after they've just been relegated. But I think as you alluded to before you sort of come on, it's been coming, hasn't it? And perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about the last few years and what's led to that happening, really.
Yeah, we've known it's been coming for a while. I think decision making at the club has been so poor. It's laughable, really. I think we go through a period where our owner decides we'll have a manager. We'll sack him. So we started with, I think it was Steve Morrison came in.
Yeah.
He was promoted from the academy to given the manager's job. And the first 6 months did really well, to be fair. He kept us up. The summer comes along. They give him £1.5 million to spend on Callum Robertson. And they sack him 5 days later.
Mm.
They then appoint another coach in Mark Hudson to take over, give him 3 months, then sack him. They then appoint another coach, Dean Whitehead, get him in for a couple of games, then sack him.
Yeah.
Then they bring in Sabri Lamucci in. Now he comes in, he wasn't the best, he kept us up, but in part thanks to Reading's point deduction. End of season comes, our chairman comes out and says, we'll have good news here in a few days. Next 3-4 days later, the manager's walked away because the club couldn't agree with what he wanted. We then hire Bullet. I thought he was a good manager. I mean, it's hard to beat. It wasn't the best football, but we can't play like Leeds United can. So I accepted it. Start the season poorly, but again we played Burnley, Leeds. Some tough games straight away we did, and Sunderland. So you could see it. Then they give the job to Omar Reza, who did start pretty well, to be fair. I think we had 3 wins on the bounce, and then we had a really bad spell, and then it came to November time. I think Reza came out, he was asked, have you heard any more about getting the job? He said no one's bothered speaking to me at all.
Yeah.
We lost then at Oxford on Boxing Day, all-time low at the club. The rumours going down he's going to get sacked, and then he now said he's got the job to the end of the season.
Right.
So we know it's been coming. There's no balance with the squad. I think you've seen it. The club have been making signings on behalf of managers. We signed someone called Wilfred Kanga, who didn't move at all. I mean, he was shocking. We paid £500,000 to loan him, and our manager came out and said, it's not my signing, this is the club signing.
Yeah.
We spent £3 million on Rocco Simic. We've had 3 or 4 managers now who say he's not good enough for us. But the club are adamant they are planning for the future, but they're signing players don't know who the manager is.
Yeah.
So it's just a mess of the club, really. And some fans are saying, going down might help us restart, and it's just one of those things could get a lot worse right now, because we heard this when we got relegated. The owner came out and said, I do care about the club. There's a plan in place. The work starts now. We hear it all the time, and we've had the same message now 2 days ago.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast that we do with opposition fans of teams is it's been you're our final one of the season, obviously. Usually we structure them with a bunch of questions and throw a bunch of questions at you, but I think in this instance, neither. I'd say, I mean, you said that you felt that this was a long time in the post, the relegation. In terms of our season has been pretty poor. It tailed off very badly after Christmas, and I don't know if you've seen, but what our head coach got the sack just a few weeks ago now. By the time this goes out, what I'm really interested in finding out from you is, where do you feel what happens next in League One? And I'm not trying to rub salt into the wound, because I think both us and yourself are probably pretty jaded after this season. But what's next for the club? What, in terms of your opinion, can you do a Birmingham, or do you think that you might be in League One for a little bit of time?
I got to be realistic. We're not going to do a Birmingham. I think the club now needs a year of stabilising. I know a lot of fans are thinking Ramsey might get a job. He won't want that job. It'll be too toxic. Well, we're not a big club. A lot of fans like to think we're this massive club. We're not. We have the potential to be a big club. We're a one-club city. The problem is our fan base expect us to win every week. And, if we're not top of the league, there's certain elements of our fan group that are so toxic it poisons it for the rest of us.
Mm.
I reckon we need a year or two of stabilising in League One, because we won't reach the playoffs. We won't spend the money that's needed to go up. And if we do spend the money, none of us trust the people who are making decisions on who to buy.
Yeah.
So I do think a year of stabilising is needed. We have got some really good, exciting youngsters coming through.
Right.
So if we can get a season bedding them through, stabilise ourselves and look to kick on in a year or two, hopefully we'll be back. But I think we've got to be realistic, because we're not going to be competing at the very top of the League One. I mean, it's just, I mean, you look at our season overall now. We got a centre midfielder playing right back, a left winger playing left back, our centre defender who can't defend, and Callum Chambers is playing midfield. We've got a Chris Willock who's playing inside forward on the left, but can't cross on his left. So we got constantly has to cut on his right. He's never in position. There's so much wrong with that starting 11. We need a full summer now to just identify certain weaknesses and just rebuild and go again. But it's going to take a few years, this will.
Jez, everything Rhys just said there sounds like I'd echo that in my sentiment about how I feel about Norwich right now.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think, that sounds pretty similar. But I think what I was going to ask, Rhys, was, is there any sort of games you're particularly looking forward to? I mean, where I'm sitting currently, I could throw a stone and hit the Stevenage Football Club centre circle at Broad-A. I mean, there's clubs like Stevenage, Burton Albion, and clubs like that. But is there any other games that you're sort of particularly looking forward to?
I wouldn't mind drawing Newport in the Virtue Cup.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Cardiff, but we're the only club to have a bubble left in the Football League now. We are. Right. So I live in Talbot, so it's in between Swansea and Cardiff.
Yeah.
So I've got to get to Cardiff to get a bus to go back past my town to go to Swansea away, to get the bus back to Cardiff, past my town, then come back to my town.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind doing Newport. It'd be a lot easier. But again, it's one of those things where, not that I don't want to make it sound like an ego thing, but I think we will be a cup final for a lot of smaller teams. It's an international stadium. It's going to be seen as a big club. I'm looking forward to seeing some new teams like Port Vale, Bradford City, if they go up, Wickham if they stay down, Stockport, clubs like that, because normally it's the cup we look forward to something like that in. So I won't mind some of them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, I think that's, I don't want to say the exciting thing about relegation, because it's never exciting to be relegated from any league. But, you're right. There is some games there that you probably haven't played those teams for a long time. And it's good to sort of renew old rivalries and all of that as well, right? And I think, as well as that, Morgan obviously touched upon the rebuild as well. And there'll be players. Is there any sort of players that are coming out of the academy that would flourish at that lower level, would you say?
I think we got a few. We got Louis Giles, who started against Aston Villa in the FA Cup, a left back. I thought he had a solid game. He was up against Bailey from Villa, and I thought he did a really good job. Ronan Capaccio, he started coming through a few games this season, and he got injured in the FA Cup, so he missed the rest of the season. Joel Colwell, we had out on loan at Cheltenham. He's just one player of the season for Cheltenham, and he only spent 6 months there. There's a lot of hype around him. His brother Ruben, I'm not so much in Ruben because I think we've been saying for the last 4 or 5 years this is his breakout season, and he doesn't really do it. But there's a few other youngsters in around the academy. I think Perrott. I think there's a few Premier League clubs sniffing about him right now.
Okay.
Mafiko as well, and I can't say his name, but we got a young winger we have in the academy. I can't say his name. I won't even try. I don't know if it's disrespectful, but there's a few youngsters there. But I think we need one or two older heads alongside them. I think they can develop. We've got players like Wilshere as well, who's a young centre half, who's played the last 3 months for us as centre half, and he's done a good job. There's something there to build on. I just think we've got to get rid of one or two other players now who have really let the club down this year.
Yeah, I mean that sounds very very similar to our position where we find ourselves. So in terms of just I suppose your ownership, you've been in the Premier League. You know the last couple of over the last sort of decade. What's next for the ownership, do you think, Rhys? Because I think I don't know if you know much about Norwich, but we've been taken over now by an American owner, such as seems to be the trend at the moment in football. What's next for Cardiff's ownership, do you think?
Where do I start? First off, I only acknowledge one Premier League season, the red year. I boycotted the club in the red period. I don't acknowledge that year at all. But see, I'm not a fan of our owner because of the red and stuff, and everything's gone wrong. He would be a decent owner if he had decent advisors. We got Mehmet Dalman, who's a chairman, who's never there. He comes out every 3 or 4 months and says, Vincent Tan's pumping £3 million a month into this club. We have a plan. That's all he says. And we have the other guy then, the CEO, in Ken Chu. All he does is sell cars for Vincent in London and drives to the stadium once in a while with a big grin on his face. I mean, I think Vincent Tan is waiting for the Salah case to be over. None of us know what's actually going on with that case. We left in the dark as much as anyone else. And I think there's been rumours that people have approached the club to purchase it, and he's asking £200 million.
Right.
And you're thinking, that's ridiculous. I don't know what he does next. I mean, he released a statement, I think yesterday or the day before, and he said, I have a plan. The immediate plan is to get back in the Championship. It's the same letter he writes when we got relegated to the Premier League.
Yeah.
And if we found ourselves in League 2 now this time next year, God forbid, the same letter will come out and it'll say the immediate plan is to get back into League 1. Of course I care. So I think it's time for all parties to part way, in my opinion. I think it's best if he looks to sell up and go. Because I don't know if you've been in the Cardiff Stadium now, we still got red seats everywhere. And red seats is still a painful reminder. Yeah. Our badge has a little dragon worm at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It's the home kit this year has one bluebird on it, just the bluebird. It's 125th year, and the only thing they've done to commemorate it was put an old badge on the home shirt.
Yeah,
right.
It's just shockingly poor what it is, and it's an owner, chairman, a CEO who don't care about the club. They don't show up there. They're happy picking up their money, and I think the chairman's got £37 million in loans at the club. I mean, as long as he gets that, I think he's happy, and there's no communication with the fans. We're unhappy. They don't care. It can't go on, really. It just can't.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen, and I know Jez usually concentrates on the positive side of football and stuff, but I think in this instance, it's fair to say that we can do a little bit of a deep dive, Jez. I suppose you've probably seen Sunderland Until I Die, Rhys.
Yeah.
The first season in particular. Do you feel that that's the sort of level of, I don't want to use the word incompetency, but the sort of level of muddled communication and thinking that is happening at Cardiff right now?
Competency would be the right word, I think, anyway. It's a disaster, let's be honest. I mean, so Mehmet Dalman wanted Errol Bullet. That was his man. He got it through. Errol Bullet in the first season, in December time, he had a list of 4 or 5 players he wanted the club to get. He handed the list over, and we heard back that the club made how do I say it? They approached the players. They weren't bothered. This is what we're going to offer you. If you don't want it, don't worry, but we're not bothered. Sort of approach. Word got back to Bullet. He rejected the contract extension. The club then spent £2 million in the January on another player that the manager didn't want. Come the summer, then it was last minute. We give the contract to the manager. He finally signs it. We promised to back him. After he sacked him, he came out and said, "Well, I give the chairman, a list of 4 or 5 players in the summer." And yet again, they did the same thing to me. They went to find other players for me.
Yeah.
On the Sunday Until I Die one, I do remember, Jack Rodwell was in the training room, and I don't know if they cut it to make him look bad or if he was just that way. but he didn't want to be on the pitch. A few of our players, I think, have had similar attitudes this year, and I think a few of them, you see in certain games, the teams like Leeds, if a player loses the ball, they bust in the gut to get back or bust in the gut to win the ball.
Yeah.
Our players give up the chase too easy.
Yeah.
They're slow, they're ponderous, they're jogging back. A goal goes in. We played Sheffield United 3 weeks ago, and Callum Chambers was playing 3 players on side, and he was screaming at the linesman. It's just totally unaware of what's around him. And I think we gambled in the summer on a lot of players out of contract, like Chambers, El Ghazi, expecting them to turn up and just turn it on. And again, you're just thinking, surely some of the club will have noticed El Ghazi hasn't played for 18 months.
Yeah.
Chambers didn't play for Villa for like 2 years. So, but these are the people making decisions, and we've got to live with it, and it's has to get punished with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Morgan alluded to a football documentary relating to Sunderland, and what I'm going to talk about another football documentary here that relates to another club in Wales. You probably know what I'm going to say. Wrexham, the Wrexham documentary. Welcome to Wrexham, and I'd love to know your thoughts on that and the project that they've done there, and perhaps could something like that be I suppose it could be replicated at any club, but would you want it to be replicated at Cardiff?
So I've spoken this before. I have no issues with like the owners coming in and spending the money, whatever. I have no issues with that. I mean, we'd all love it, let's be honest. The only thing I'm jealous of is from day one, Rob and Ryan were in and around Wrexham City Centre. They were meeting with people, they're talking to fans, they're doing community outreach, they're building the town up. Our chairman and owner doesn't even come to Cardiff. Yeah. They're rarely in Wales. And that's what I'm jealous about. I would love for our owners to be talking to fans, speaking to fans, what can we do to help make it better and stuff. We had a fan advisory board last month. Our chairman's supposed to be there. He doesn't go to them anymore. They send another board member because he's from Cardiff, so the fans are not as nasty to him. That's their argument. They were asked about the poor attendances this year because I think one game, it was about 12,000 fans there it was.
Yeah. Right.
It's a 35,000 seat stadium, 12,000 fans. On TV, it's pretty bad. You can see it. And they were asked, are you going to lower the prices of tickets next year? And the response that came back was, no, we are one of the lowest in the Championship, and we'll be one of the lowest in League One. That tells me they're going to increase the prices. So it just seems to be a massive disconnect. And I look at Wrexham with so much envy simply because of the outreach the owners do. I mean, you see it before games. They're pulling pints behind the bar. They're walking, talking to fans. There's so much they're doing, and we have nothing like that.
Yeah, but I would counter that, Rhys, the fact that a lot of what you're seeing on the documentary is kind of like done for entertainment value. So I mean, obviously, like there is, you're saying that there's a disconnect at Cardiff, and I would agree. Sometimes football clubs, there isn't that outreach. I think it's easy to potentially be bought into the view that the Wrexham thing is very organic. And I don't necessarily agree that it probably is. Ultimately, football clubs are businesses, essentially. So that's my take on it. I understand where you're coming from, but I do think that there is some kind of smoke and mirror behind it.
I get that, but they are there at games, and like our chairman's not even there, and he's making decisions. Our CEO isn't there. Our owner apparently watches at 3 a.m. and he's the one who says yes and no to what manager comes in. There's no communication with fans. Like the last time we heard from Mehmet Dalman, our chairman, was I think last year when he said, "Of course Vincent is happy. He's putting £3 million a month in. Of course we've got a plan. We've finally got a plan. You should be happy." And that's the sort of thing that's all we hear. And then we got relegated and there was nothing. Then yesterday we had a message saying from the board, "We appreciate the fans are unhappy right now with the relegation. We're working behind the scenes now to make this right." That's all we get.
Yeah.
But we won't see no changes. And every time the fans show discontent, then all we get back is we'll find someone else with money and buy the club then.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Vincent Tan made a statement 3 or 4 years ago which said fans are consumers, and in a way he's right. But the idea is that he views us like that, shows that when things are going bad, there's not going to be there's not going to be any bridging from the club to the fans because they still won't see us as the fan base, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. It makes it completely. I think me and Jez have been very lucky over the years to have Delia. I mean, like, regardless of what many of our fans might like, you know, a bit of a divided opinion on Delia, a bit like Marmite, but at the same time, like, you know, she was always there at the games. There was always that like reassurance that she cared. Maybe she cared a bit too much, but you know, I'm really when I don't mean this disrespectfully, Rhys, but like talking to yourself, it really hits home for me just how lucky Norwich have been, Jez.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we've have, and you know, it's not just the club, is it? It's not just the men's team. It's the community. It's the community projects we do. It's the, you know, and thanks to the guys that do that. And you know, Duncan's club we were talking about, and the women's side, and it's all of that goes alongside it that makes the club so great. And I really hope that, you know, and I don't know what the provision is for Cardiff in terms of women's football, in terms of community projects, but I really hope that that's a really big focus for the owners. I don't know if you can confirm that.
Well, so, community, I don't know much what they do in the community. I won't lie. I mean, we got a women's football side, which has just won the Welsh Women's Cup, which is brilliant for us.
Yeah, right.
But so we have we just won a fan engagement award for the season, which is laughable to all Cardiff fans because there's no fan engagement. The club was asked if the fans paid for it, could we have flags with ex-captains on there and put it on the stadium because it's 125th year. The club said no, we have to ask someone else first. The fans then said, look, we are paying for it, and the club still said no. 125th year, we had 2 events only, both just before Christmas. I think it was £125 it was, and it was dinner with players. They sold 1 table. When they were asked then, are we going to have any more events that are more affordable, they were told no, that was it. There's no more events. We got a home shirt this year has the old Bluebird on it, which we're all happy with. Brilliant. The training kit, every other kit, the second, the away kit and the third kit, all have the old badge on it with the worm on it. We have a grey kit with green on because apparently grey is charcoal and green is the mountain side for some reason. I have no idea how that links with Cardiff. Our own kits are it's yellow and stuff. And we have a sky blue kit that's the same colour as Coventry's home kit because of the river apparently. So even the community outreach or thing like that, or the stuff like that, it's just so poor.
No, definitely. Look, Rhys, I know you're on a tight schedule, so I mean, before we let you go, maybe just give us a little bit score prediction for the game on the weekend.
Probably 2-0 Norwich, I'd say.
That's optimistic from you, Rhys.
Honestly, if you see how we play, it's shambolic. Honestly.
Don't worry.
And also, it's the El Clarsico. So that the play on words there is the fact that it's 2 ex-Arsenal players that are coming up against each other in Aaron Ramsey and Jack Wilshere. So, that's what I'm going to name it, Morgan, the El Clarsico.
A bit of a stretch from you, Jez.
Rhys, thank you, mate, and you know, best of luck with everything. And as I say, I'm really close to Stevenage, so if you do end up going to that ground, then do let me know because I'll come down and see you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I really appreciate you coming on, especially like given the situation. I'm thankful that you bothered to like even volunteer yourself and your time. So thank you again.
And it was a really pleasure to hear about Cardiff. And as I say, best of luck. And thanks to everyone that listened to all the Beyond the South Stand and endured me and Morgan's dulcet tones for however long they did.
Thank you, guys. Good luck for next season as well.
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. And everyone else listening, if you do enjoy our shit show, feel free to follow us on all of the social media outlets and now watch us on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. I've been Jez Davies.
I've been Morgan Hewitt. Rhys.
Thank you, Rhys from Cardiff City World. Thank you all.
Good man. Thanks, everyone. Just forwarding the video as well, just introducing the pod, mate. Appreciate